Hello, 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 hello. Mic check. Mic check. Hopefully the audio is sounding good. I noticed at the end of my last stream, the audio started to get a little funky. So we're going to try to avoid that. And I think we're ready to go. Turn down the music. It's echoing. You're getting two. Oh. How's that? Mic, check. Is that any better? That was because I was using my headphones to monitor the audio for a little while, so it was piping through the mic and through my headphones, which are hooked into the system audio. Streaming is hard, basically. Morning from Sweden. Hello, Ella. Glad you're able to check out the stream. It's 4 a.m. there. Are you still up or already up? I guess this is a good question. I'm still up. It is 9:40. Had a little bit of a long day, but I want to get back to building, so pretty excited to review. We're building a FORMBOT Trident kit. It is a R1 kit, of course. R2 isn't out yet. We've got our colors here, which are the Polymaker Galaxy Blue ASA and Polymaker just yellow ABS. So I think every build I've done where I printed the parts myself, I've used Polymaker filament. So just woke up, starting to your work commute soon. Okay, well, hang on, hang out for as long as you can. Of course, don't want you. Maybe you can drive and listen if you care to hear my voice, but definitely don't want you to be on the road watching, unless you're, I guess maybe taking, what do you call it, mass transit, not driving. I'm in the United States, so we drive everywhere. Hey, Feder, what's up? Have a knack for sick color combos. Thank you. As well as with my other builds, I went for a video game theme. So obviously Fallout is a little bit of a theme here with the blue and yellow. So continuing that. All good, taking a train. Okay, yeah, see, I've got that US centric thing where we commute and drive everywhere. We drive everywhere for our commute. Words are hard. The only thing we've done unusual in this build so far is we've got the inverted electronics Z motor mounts in. So gonna use those. I've got the other parts. And we have the backers. So if I switch over to maybe this view, we've got titanium backers. Probably not all that useful in terms of performance, but I had some credit to use on kb3d.com, so I decided to use that. Feder, how's it going? I'm surprised you're not streaming right now. It seems like you've got like 1,000 different printers. Renovic, hello, welcome to the stream. So we've got one more backer, which will go on the x-axis. And I've already got that kind of prepped and ready to go. So we'll start with that in a second. I've got the Gantry printed members kind of already staged. They're not actually built yet. I don't have any bearing stacks in them, but kind of just got all the stuff out. So let's go to the overhead. This stream, we're going to try to get this x-axis done, maybe belted, but that will lead us into tap. I've never built Voron Tap before, so we'll see how that goes. It's just new to me. I've watched Steve and Pooch and some other streams build it, but yeah. You ain't lying, I had too many for sure. Just testing some machines, so can do some reviews. Gotcha. Let's see, how can I do this? We'll do picture in picture with that. I need to bring up the manual for you guys, so that's the step we're going to be on. Tap on Trident is a really great idea. I also have a Big Tree Tech Eddy Duo. It's Eddy USB plus CAN that I can swap in if I. Only thing I've heard negative about Tap is that I think the previous revisions had some stiffness problems, but I think they fixed that with the fact that you have to screw in 2 long screws now. But I've got to fall back. But yeah, we're gonna go with it. I was a little hesitant because it has moving parts, and I felt like that's so many places to fail. But a lot of people have been using it, so seems like something pretty good to go with. Let's move the frame off for a bit. Can you guys hear the music just faintly? I like it when it's just kind of there. You can hear it, but if you maybe had your own music on, it wouldn't kind of disrupt that. Tap is probably more reliable than BTT Eddy. Gotcha. I haven't used any eddy current probes so far, so that's kind of the only reason I was thinking about using that. But I have other printers I can use as the test bed for it. So to remind you guys, I am using a special version of the manual that has the build notes. This user, Cooper German, took the build notes and kind of plopped them into the Voron manual. So instead of having to hop back and forth between the GitHub build notes and the manual, I have them all in one place, which is really, really nice. So we're going to be using that. I think I have a link to this, but it's in, he has a PR. And so I looked at his PR and he has these PDFs, which is kind of cool. $70 for a probe is a lot. For the beacon, yeah. You get more accurate bed with tap since it probes directly from the nozzle. I do prefer nozzle tapping. Hopefully we'll see some new and cool nozzle-based probes coming out. Yeah, let's get into a little bit of building. So we're using physical in-stop, so no Hall effect stuff. We can skip the step about the chains because we don't need it. And I've already got these guys kind of pre-done. So there's one with a notch in it that we need. Hey, Steve. The Shrimp Father. I lost my mouse. Welcome. Go to the desktop, turn you back on. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more on it with getting you guys the best camera angles. But I'm gonna start recording everywhere. Stop weird focusing. I'm trying out an 80XL based one, it's a bit unreliable. There's some interesting stuff coming out, like even the eddies can do some form of weird sensing when the nozzle hits the bed right now. Again, I have not used one, so I'm not by any means an expert, and we need to shift everything over this way so it's not hidden. All right, so I already got like our nuts in there, but they're not gonna hold all that well once I take these out. And one of these guys screws into plastic, which I need to remember. Okay, we need to start on our first bearing stack, which is this screw into that hole. We need washer. Did they give you exactly the right number of bearings? Washer, bearing, washer. or spacer if you prefer. It's like randomly working after a week of working perfectly. Oh, stops working. And requires slightly different parameters. I guess heat is a lot, a problem for a lot of alternative based probing stuff. What do they call? Load cells have heat drift. Eddy sensors can have some problems with heat. Even the old inductive probes could have some issues with heat. I'm so easily distracted. I've been really enjoying the build so far. I think I've made a few things more complicated than they need be, but that's kind of par for the course for me. What goes where? Okay, we can line up the notch. That's there. We've already got our nut in there. I think mainly on the frame. I was, playing around with what if I do this way instead of the way the manual says? Is it any better? What do you know? It's probably not any better because the people who wrote the manual know what they're doing. Put 2 more nuts in there. It looks like they do give you exactly how many bearings, flange bearings you need for the build. If you guys notice that we need a better camera angle, let me know. And we have 2 of these guys. I don't see any music playing. Turn it up a little bit. All right. Let's go to that camera. I don't like seeing my face on screen. These are gonna fall out, but this guy just go right here with no spacers. And that screws into plastic. And these 2 just screw into nuts. Don't knock it. Welcome back. It has been a while. I don't stream frequently or regularly, so can't blame you whatsoever. I'd like to try to get into a regular pattern. Okay, we need to retain those with our fingers a little bit better. I don't think that that's getting started. That one is. That one is okay. And then this needs to be flush or below flush, I believe. I think that looks good. You guys can be my double check. I've got some stress marks I need to take some heat to eventually. I already did that. Double check your work. Looks good from that angle, and I think we will rinse and repeat. I'm not great on catching stream slightly, you know how I like. Yes, same. Pretty similar deal for me in terms of getting into other people's streams, but also doing my own. I've been trying to be a little bit more on it in terms of preparing stuff for streams. Like getting all the pieces I need out, preloading nuts. I've never really preloaded nuts for a build before. I usually just did everything on stream, but this is the weird one that can kind of pass through, but we need washer, bearing, washer. Lost another nut. Am I doing that right? This guy. How does these stack on top? Back out this way. There's a little bit of a diamond shape. Why aren't you guys falling out? Best get ready for work. First day trying out the new commute for a job I've been offered. Not sure if you want to take it. Gotcha. Well, best of luck. Thanks for hopping into the stream for a while. So super early. I wish I had the resolve to wake up that early. Visiting the office. Gotcha. Well, hopefully everything goes well. That can be exciting and maybe nervous or nerve-wracking at the same time. Have a good one, Ella. This is not plastic. I've been whipping nuts all over the place. So yeah, hopefully I'll get things for my build log updated, but the live stream kind of also serves as the alternative. I think some people prefer video. I actually just published written versions of my LDO V0.2 kit review, as well as my FORMBOT V0.2 kit review. So if you prefer written stuff, I think I have a link in my bio. If not, I definitely published it on X/Twitter. But it's something I noticed certain sites or channels like Linus Tech Tips tend to have a written version in their reviews. I still like to check out written versions, you know, like on Tom's Hardware and sites like that every once in a while. So nuts, I tightened everything down thoroughly, but not too hard. And I think we need to check our work again. That looks right to me. And I think I have this preloaded correctly. Got 2 in the back. Enough for this on the front. And then I also have some for the backers. And then 1 on sort of the bottom. I don't know if those are the correct directions, but if you're building bigger than a 250, we are not. We are building a 250, so I don't think we have to worry about this build note. And I think it's just about the where you space these guys. So Don't even have it out. Loosely tighten all of these. The text should be facing the correct direction, assuming that is the top side. It's the two hex nuts. Steve, if you're still there, I really enjoyed the Japan Rep Rat Festival recap and unboxing some of the rat rig stuff. That was a fun stream. Really cool to see some projects going on. Some of the different themes that, you know, a completely different region of the world kind of has with what they're interested in. Those builds that you kept noting that didn't have actual belts, but the cords, no, the wire based system. You just don't see those stateside or maybe not even European side. Capstan, yes. And interesting to hear some of the lore, I guess, or history behind the switch wire, kind of originally looking to use those. My mini PCB way roller, that might be good for this. So just about 15. Just about 15. Pull that down on both sides and then get out our, what is this, 2.5? Inside to outside, trying not to strip any screws. It's pretty even. And we're right into this mounted up. So the left will be the back side, like so. I might have to loosen these a bit. Actually slide on. Current level of tightness. These will be M5 by 10s. I have a lot out already. Brenovic, how is your printer design coming along? Are you not grabbing? Sorry. This is 3.0. Just sitting there twisting away, doing nothing. Was the ADXL you're looking to use for probing, is that in your custom build or a different one, or custom design? And I think we might have to space this left or right and or leave it loose for de-racking later, so I won't tighten these too much. And then one M5 by 30 plus M5 shim. I hope these are the last couple M5 shims that we need, because we've got 3 left. This is from a different build. Oh no, we've got 4. This one popped over. So not a ton of spares on those. Something to make sure you don't have any flying across the room and losing any. Or if you plan on ordering extra hardware, that might be something you want to have a little bit extra of. Five by 30 and 5 by 30. Quick peek at my scalp. Again, put this 2.5 away. I keep grabbing it somehow. Leave loose. Same on both sides, and we can get the frame back out. Looks like, actually, let's do the backer. So I've been doing everything so that if you turn your head to the left, it looks correct. We're going to continue that. Even though no one will ever see, I have one random stainless. Nope, yes, wrong. Zero dropped frames, good to see. Wait a second. That would be turning my head to the right, I think. What's the Voron logo is rotationally symmetric, right? I think I need to pull out one more black. What are these? M3? Yeah, M3 by I think I went with 7. And I think I can take these guys off when I come back. I'm grabbing that hardware. Those tools are done. Clean up the workspace a tiny bit. Steve, I also liked your list of upcoming projects. The Google Sheet you had was kind of cool to see. Like that's actually in 3x8. And how you sort of prioritize them for different types of streams. Morning, Down Under Maker. Still evening here in the past. We built that less than a member stream a month or two ago. That's a cool member perk to give them some agency in what becoming 37, 34, so 36. 35. I think 35. I was reading up on YouTube memberships and what some different types of ideas for perks are. There's a bit of a gap for a, well, we don't have end stops. I think our end stops in this build are going to be on the toolhead. Thanks, Down Under Maker. Yes, please leave a like if you guys are popping in. Helps out a ton. I'm not good about doing it on my own stream. Let's bring the frame back up. Flip it upside down. This will face the front. Or X Gantry on. I was really happy to be able to hop into your stream for a while, Down Under Maker. You were troubleshooting some electronic stuff, if I recall correctly. What hardware do we need? M3x16. I don't think I have any of that out. Socket head. 3x16 socket. I need 8. Six. Too many, but I had to do some HVAC work today. The condenser in my indoor heat pump unit was overflowing and the drain had stopped flowing. So I took some distilled vinegar, poured it down, then some hot water, try to flush it. Seems to have done the trick. You let the Pixies out of a octopus board a few weeks ago, got a replacement, but it was the one that someone already let the Pixies out of in return. Now the vendor is being unhelpful. That's unfortunate. Could you maybe reach out to Victory Tech and see if they can make it right? 2.5? Yes. No washers are there. Okay, so we're only supposed to do 2 on one side, but that's if you are using the in-stop pod, which we're not. Install all 4 screws on the right XY joint. I hate that people will do stuff like return something that they blew up. Or there's even worse scams I've seen where people will return stuff with like bricks inside of it instead of a GPU. I'm ordering direct and letting Ali support deal with the vendor. Gotcha. Aligned over here. There we go. Yeah, I would think that a vendor is just not worth it to kind of alienate a customer and just eat the cost unless it's happening to them a ton, which might be saying something about the platform and or their customer base. Leave this step out. Already did that part anyways. Squaring the gantry. Move the gantry all the way back until it hits the AB drive. Fully tighten the screws. Oh, shouldn't have let that slide that hard, but done goofed. Pull 1.5 Uggadugas. Oh yeah, there's a washer down there. I was like, why is that not sitting flush? That's fairly even. My Instagram is currently getting bot followed like crazy. I get a notification like every hour. And then when I check the notification, the account is gone. If I do it, I will happily eat it, but if the pixies are gonna escape, I want it to be on a stream. Yeah. We're at similar steps. Hey. Just about to put the gantry in the micron today. Cool. Are you building along while you watch, or will you be doing that later? Up here at the front, this right side has a little bit of but it's square in the back. You belted it before you put it in. Yeah, I guess that makes sense for a flying gantry. Taking a break. Well, welcome to the stream. Thanks for hopping in. What do you guys think? Is that an issue? Like if I get it nice and flush on the back side, when I pull it to the front, it's got a tiny bit of wackiness there. This camera's doing nothing. I don't know if the camera picks that up all that well. Maybe a millimeter of movement in the front, but it looks great in the back. If I stream this week, it will be teaching myself to hot air micro solder stream, partially because no octopus, and partially because Mrs. Maker will be in the hospital, and the kids are likely to interrupt. Oh, well, I hope everything goes well with Mrs. Maker in the hospital. I am very interested in micro soldering. I actually just picked up this guy. This, oh, almost tripped over myself. This C-boom with the, I think they're called JBC style wands. So the heater is inside of the actual tip instead of inside of the wand like a Hacko. And this is actually a large one. I've got a smaller one. If you measure the frame diagnosis, you'll probably see the difference. Oh, diagonals. Stevie, you think it's something I need to make an adjustment for? And then down under Maker, I also picked up this guy, which is a heating plate to do some reflow. Because I want to be able to solder a couple SMD boards. Probably not. Gotcha. I tossed up between that and the Aphen A9. Ended up with the A9. The G-Boom is nice, but too bulky for your setup. Gotcha. Yeah, I watch a guy called NanoFix who does micro soldering on stream for like repairs and stuff like that, and he thought highly of that one. I caught it on a good sale, so I picked it up. What will be next? The Voron belt path. Belting. I have a little hot air station from, it says it gets up to 400 C, but it's not very good. About to build a preheat station with an old Elegoo bed and an SKR Pico. That's cool. I don't even know what temperatures the plate I got will hit. Where are our belts? Here. Both wound together. Should I build tap first if I'm going, or let me consult the tap manual. If I'm gonna belt, by the end of it, I need the gantry X, or the X carriage to be on there, right? Is there any sense of belting? Gate side up, yes. Because if I belt right now, they're just gonna sit loose until I get tap all done. Splurge on the, oh, splashed out on the hot air. Got the Aches and H310. I think I've heard of that one. I think it's the one that everybody says to get. Then the bed. Are we switching over to tap? Because I don't want to put the bed in if I'm still going to be flipping this thing upside down over and over again. I think we're going to switch over to tap. And then I'll do the belts after we get the tap carriage attached. Where is my tap bin? Not this one. Not that one. Electronics. Don't upset everyone's. I will. I promise. Unless I'm engagement farming. Which I probably won't be able to remember to do. Here we go. I did a couple of the parts in a couple colors. These two little guys. We will need some magnets. And the tap PCB. And that guy. Did a decent job organizing it, it seems. Printing guidelines. So this is also the annotated version of the tap guide. Got the bomb. Carefully remove the carriage and put in the printed spacer. Which I don't know if I pulled out that printed spacer. Scissors. Now this camera's not looking at anything again. Focus. Change the focus type. Screen. Put tools away. It's going to be a goal this stream is to put things away when I'm not using them. 3.0, 2.5. As I put away the scissors, we need them again. It's actually a little harder to get out than I expected. Zip tie. Balls skedaddling. Steve, are you the one who likes to put a little mark? Somehow designate what's the top? Or am I imagining that? And then we can, this is symmetrical. Bend him into place. Just some way to make sure they go back together in the same way. Gotcha. We don't have to worry about measuring that out. I put a little marker up there and on the beam. I think we've gotten rid of all of, nope, we haven't gotten rid of all of our supports. I don't know which colors I want to use. Everything. I want some color contrast in there, but not really going to be seen very much. I've designed a tool holder for soldering gear. It has a bunch of slots for the JBC style tips, tweezers. Yes, please do so. I've got, what is it C245 and C210, or is it T? I feel like I've seen both. A C and a T. Does the T stand for the cartridge and T for the tool or something? Where's the support for this guy? It must be already off. Yeah. If that fell off as I took it off the print bed. Magnets. Into our carriers. I've already got, I think, all of the, oh, this guy doesn't have heat set inserts, so we're not going to use him. The C versus T is whether it has a tongue in the plug that goes to the station, I'm told. Okay. I feel like I've heard him somewhat interchangeably, or I just didn't, note what the difference was. We need a tiny dab of glue. The thin. Might be too thin. This is something I probably could have done off. Oh, that a lot came out there. Getting on my fingers. I don't have any nice Knipex channel locks. So we're going with the thumb and table. Probably don't need any. Oh, it's just explaining that the hexagon is the bestagon. There's a 1 and a 2. I need to note which one is 1, which one is 2. Does that correspond to left and right? 1 is on the left, 2 is on the right. This guy has our heatset inserts already in it. I believe in all the places. This is the R8 revision, so it has the holes in the bottom for the reinforcement screws. Inserting the hex nuts. Okay. 3 hex nuts. Not nylock or anything. Haven't used them very much, or if at all. Don't have very many. Is it 3? Here. Come on. That almost flew to Narnia. Read what they actually say. This can be often helped by using a longer screw to draw the nut into the cup, removing the long screw, and using M3x6. Where are all the spots I need M3? I just see one. That wasn't good. I didn't have that securely threaded on. I have channel lock pliers, but not very nice ones. I don't want to mar the part. Are those FORMBOT kits any good? I'd say reasonably good. You can definitely get a working printer out of them. This is my second FORMBOT kit, the first being a V0, and it had some foibles about it, I'll say. Some frustrating parts, like mostly the Kirigami bed frame not being to spec, but I was able to get a working printer, and then I printed parts for the LDO kit on it, and then I printed parts for the FISEC kit on that one, and then I printed parts for this on all 3 of my V0s. So, but so far, like, Tap will be the most well, I guess Tap is kind of Voron spec. Linear rails might be something worth upgrading for the X and Y depending on how input shaping goes. I'll keep that in mind. Gregman, thanks. Oh, Gergman. I might be dyslexic. I feel like I'm going to skip something for this just because I'm so unfamiliar. M3x20. Cap head. This is a interesting / funky part. It goes in diagonally from the back. Into here. Now I always get the wrong one. The rails felt okay. In 3x20. Starting into plastic, and then I guess it eventually reaches this. Oh, I'm not showing you guys anything. I'm gonna get both of them started. If you're used to LDL, they are a step down, but they are passable. The screws are often softer and easier to strip. The hex, if you use ball end. Yes, I will say that on the M2 and 3 screws in the V0 kit, that was definitely the case. So far, I've had 3 bad T-nuts that's cross-threaded. But most of the screws have been reasonably good, probably because there has mostly been cap head screws, which don't strip as easy as flat and button. Do these need to get a particular amount of flush? It's pretty bottomed out. The organization of it, it's much more of a box of parts, if that makes sense. Like LDO kits come and you've got your motors kit, your frame kit, your tool head box, and all that kind of stuff. This was literally just like layers upon parts. The hardware is very well organized and labeled, but kind of I had to do a lot of this organization myself. I don't have any LDO kits, but I do have MIP Thorpe hex drivers. Welcome everybody. I don't think I need these 20s anymore. Back to the 16s, which I just so happen to get 2 extra out of. What am I screwing those into? This, more plastic. Okay. Bergman just finished a Voron Trident kit, and the screw kit put LDO to shame in terms of organization or the quality. Was it like nickel plated or something? Everything in a tackle box. So I bought this just because, since this is my first 2020 extrusion based Voron I'm doing, I wanted to make sure I had an excess of hardware just in case this kit happens to be short on something. And so was it something like this? I think this is pretty good. For all my V0 kits, I put all of the hardware into a hardware kit or a hardware organizer that Daniel Modbot made. So that was really nice to be able to pull out a whole drawer and just thumb out the number I want. Kind of how Steve has a lot of his stuff in the organizers. Leave 2.5 millimeters out. Something's gonna slot into that, right? Is it, which part of Stealth Runner? Is it this guy? I use it as the spacer. Cyborg all-wheel drive kit is nice, but the $700 shipping. Whoa, $700 shipping? Is that just with like current tariffs for the US, or are you based somewhere else, Spectra? $700 shipping is pretty crazy for, what is it, like a $1,200 kit? The all-wheel drive? It's a little bit more expensive, right? Hopefully that was appropriate for getting the spacing. Leave room for the tool head. And we need to attach our PCB. M3 by 8. I'd love to stick around, but jet lag is kicking your butt. Thanks for hopping in the stream. Have a good one. Hopefully you get reset with the sleep schedule, or at least the non-tiredness schedule. M3 by 8. Lots of M3 by 8. That's got to be the most popular Voron hardware size, right? For 2020 kits. A little hard for me to thumb into. I mean, we haven't done any of the important mechanical parts yet, but so far tap isn't as worrisome as I had hoped, I will say. I've got a little bit of space here. This is not sitting flush. I don't know if you guys can see, I've got a tiny gap. I need to possibly back this long screw out because I don't want conflicting threads there, but if I can get tightened up a little bit more, the diagonal, and then yeah, that took care of it. I don't even know if that was perceivable. I'm nervous Steve isn't going to be watching. He calls me out the most when I make a mistake. The shipping tariff situation is just killer. And now with layoffs everywhere I look, I'm holding back. Yeah. No new printers this year. Understandable. I guess as a sponsor, quote unquote, you know, disclaimer, this kit was purchased with the help of affiliate purchases made by people who checked out both my streams and the reviews I've done. So it is brought to you, also members. So it's brought to you by you guys. So you guys are the sponsor for this kit. Thank you very much. And we're back to these. How do you guys feel about using electric screwdrivers for builds where you could possibly over tighten if you don't have a clutched driver? I've, you know, probably broken 1 or 2 parts, but we're about to get to that part where we have to drive in like a 50mm screw. One word, Hodo. I'm on my 2nd charge ever of this device. I bought this, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, like 2023, and I've charged it twice. I don't understand it. It's black magic. It holds a charge and it's actually got a decent amount of torque. As long as you get one with adjustable torque. This doesn't have adjustable torque, it has adjustable speed. I've got a technique where I call it my hand clutch, where you're tightening something down and I just hold it loosely, and then once it kind of stops, I just let it turn in my hand. We'll see how it works. Final tight by hand. WIK Central. Ongoing repetitive strain. That is, you know, I do feel like I'm gonna get carpal tunnel sometimes tightening down screws, so I'm not opposed. I've seen some people who never want to do it, but okay, so for this part, you can use either magnets or screws or both, if I recall correctly. Holes are designed at an angle, go slow, tighten the... You can use these flathead screws, but can't you also use magnets? Is that only in the Voron Tap R8? Is that in the errata or whatever it's called? Making that up. Maybe I'm making that up. I thought somewhere... Someone mentioned that you could put magnets in there if you wanted to, instead of... Because it's got the hexagon... It's got the hexagon holes again. And that's the 1 and that's the 2. So I thought you could use magnets there. I was thinking of using magnets, but what do we need? M3 by flatheads. Anyone have experience building tap? Not M3 by 12. Hey, Projects in Dad's Garage. I have been just dealing with life mostly. I've had so many projects I wanted to start streaming, and I just kind of have something that crops up that prevents me to, or sometimes I get in my own head about it. Like, I wanted to do this stream last week, but I was like worried about my audio and trying to overhaul that. I put too many hurdles in my way sometimes, and I just need to do the thing, make the video, start the stream. You can put magnets in both sides of tap. If you put it in both sides, thanks Projects in Dad's Garage. If you put in both, do you still use the screws? The M3 by 6? And is it necessary? No screws. Okay, I'm just gonna use the magnets. We just need to make sure that we put them in the right polarity. Thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, they're ferrous screws, so they probably would have worked, but now we don't want these to come out. So let's do a dab of glue. This thin might be a little too runny. I've got Starbond, or yeah, Starbond thin, and it comes out fast. Like it just splashed. So we've got 2 on the right. No, wait. Which one is which? It doesn't matter. The polarity is the same. It just needs to not be backwards. This is going to be... There we go. Nope. Using something ferrous to try to set that wasn't the best idea. And we are slightly gluing our fingers together. I need to use... That's a funky angle. Try to press in too straight. Double magnets can cause issues with damaged build plates. Are they too powerful? I'm having trouble getting this magnet into place. I am not going to make it to Murph. Kind of like Don't Knock It is mentioned, I'm on a little bit of a belt tightening in terms of extraneous purchases. I say as I build like my 8th printer, but that one went in fairly easily. This guy's having a bit of trouble, and I'm afraid the glue is already set. Here we go. I do want to make it to 3D Printopia. Yeah, it causes the nozzle to be pushed into the build plate too hard before they separate it. Okay. I might print out another version of this just to have handy. Just cracked my fingernail, my thumbnail, trying to get this set. It is a very positive. Highly recommend Cartographer. I've been getting about 50-50 people saying they really like Tap for a Trident, and others saying basically what you're saying, go to Cartographer. Second the recommendation. I'll add that to the list. M3x6 button heads next. Oh, you know what? They added a bookmark feature. Add stream marker. Okay, so that's a stream marker to remind me about the magnets possibly causing an issue with Tap. M3x6, not 8. Photographer can work on USB or CAN. I have a Big Tree Tech Eddy Duo, which can work on either, but I know most people say that implementation isn't anywhere near as good as Cartographer. Are these the last couple screws? Two. Nope. These are just like alignment. when you install the tool head, the bottom of the tool head should rest on these two screws. So is there an offset? Eddie sucks. Am I supposed to go flush with these? It's saying the tool head will rest on this. Oh, it's from the back. Man. I guess it's installed flush. They don't say to have any offset. But right now in my head, I can't picture how the tool head is gonna rest on these two screws if they're flush. I guess we will find out. Two dots left, one dot right. Two men enter, one. Two dots left, one dot right, and the magnet is facing out. Oh, there we go. I was trying to put it in upside down, but the heatset insert goes towards the inside. That doesn't look right. Those are not sitting the same. Did I put the heatset insert on the wrong side? Two dots left. That doesn't look right to me. Not sitting at all flush or close to flush. One dot on the right seems to sit very flush. Two dots on the left it's at a very different angle. Do they not bottom out so it doesn't really matter anyway? This one just falls way further into place than this one, and I can't really see what the difference is. But maybe it doesn't matter. M3x10, this uses so many I won't say random, but varied. They were all out of the local store. I have to order X East. Project in Dad's Garage. I assume you're going to be at Murph. I went to Murph in 2018. Then I think I missed it for 2019, and then it was the COVID times. Oh, plus the M3 washer. Tighten that down a bit. Then I think it's a bit of a set screw later. Yeah, this one just for some reason falls in much further than it actually needs to, but that was making me a little nervous. Like it goes way past the point where that screw is actually visible in there, but the other one doesn't. And I don't know if that was part of the design or just because of my prints. Snug in the furthest back position. Done that. Mic still working. It cut off last time. M3x6 socket head. Oh, this is different in the 3x6, M3x8, M3x12 plus heat set, but it's different in the Voron Tap revision. So in the revision they need 12 and 16 in the bottom two, but it says 8 and 16? No, 8 and 12. So 6, 12, 8, 16. Look. You need 116. One 8, we have plenty of, and a 12. I kind of wish that they would just update the tap manual with these. I would volunteer to do that. If somebody would tell me what the procedure is for that. A frustrating part of doing these printer builds is having to hop scotch between sets of documentation. Not quite in there. Okay, just flung that screw. Here's where we can use the longer screw to pull that guy in. Back it out. Or the shorter screw, which is somewhere in Narnia now, but hopefully we have extra of these. Well, I didn't show that. I used the 12mm screw to pull this guy further in so that the 8mm screw will actually start to thread. The tap is definitely taking me a little bit longer than I thought. Not surprising. Then 12mm for the new revision. 12 doesn't seem long enough. I thought that's what it said. So they will need to be secured with M3 by 12, which this is. Am I crazy? That's 12. Yeah, but that's a 12mm is not making it into that guy. Anybody know if there's errata to the errata? Okay, 16 works there. I'm missing something. This used to be a 12 plus a heat set insert, but it's not anymore. This used to be an 8. Hello. Anybody have any insights? It says to use a 12 here and a 16 here, I presume. A 16 plus a heat set insert. But a 12 here did not make it into this. 12 here didn't make it into this heat set insert. I had to use a 16 here. And then I presume if I use another 16, it's not going to make it with the heat set insert. Like that's going to require like a 20. Which I don't even know if it's in this 25. Might need the CAD. If I'm making this much more complex than it needs to be, so they will need to be secured with the. You only have the CNC and boop. Gotcha. Oh, here's a 20. The 20 will be long enough. I think that's supposed to be a 20. How do you like boop? I know you were mentioning that you would like to get back to the tool changer micron, but the videos don't do all that well. And companies keep sending you printers to feature and review, so it's kind of hard to get to them. So I don't know if that's right, but I did 8 here. 8mm was enough. I think 12 would stick out a bit. Then I did 16 here with no heat set insert, and then I'm doing 20 on the bottom with the heat set insert. That's what I kind of mean by like a hand clutch. I tighten it and I hold it loosely, and then when it gets pretty taut, it just turns in my hand. So it's seems unlikely that I'm gonna be able to over tighten it. I think that's right. 100% need to get back at it. It's collecting dust and it's super close to being done. Boop had been great otherwise. Yeah, you built it with a single and it had boop, and then was your stealth changers, were those going to be, not stealth changers, mini stealth burner, were those going to be based on boop as well? I think that's all correct. We need our X-axis switch. It's going to be very short. Which one is this? To can and stop? Where's our y-axis? Is that this one? Yeah. It's very long. I'm guessing it's this. It's similar. They have their own version of it. Not sure off the top of your head that carriage is called. Might CNC it when I get. Whoa, what CNC are you gonna get, Fetter? I would really like a CNC. I have a. What are they called? Gatsmahu Stain Smart. It's like a 3018. Pretty standard one in a box that I need to unbox. But it won't be able to cut aluminum without like quite a bit of modification. X-axis and stop. 2 screws threaded directly into plastic. Are those the M2 self-tapping? I would really, really, really like to start learning about CNC. What cam program would you use? Just Fusion 360? Blue and yellow look like Michigan. Uh-oh. Well, I guess I've got family who lives in Columbus, and that same side of the family is actually from Detroit. So I guess they wouldn't be mad at the Michigan. Well, half would, half wouldn't. Oop. I've got this little wow stick. Not nearly as powerful as the Hodo. Doesn't hold a charge nearly as well. Okay for machine screws, but not for having to drive in anything substantial. Oh, I need this to tuck into that little slot there, and I did not do that. Oh, you got the Makera. Hey, thanks for becoming a tech head, Gergman. Really appreciate that. I need some, I actually just started working on a Discord server. So that will be having involvement with the perks for memberships. But I need to build those out. If you have suggestions of things you would like to see in terms of the memberships, do let me know. How? This is not making. I guess I got to do both of these heat sleeves through here and fold it over. That's a little jank. I don't like that. Don't lock it. Toucan in stop. So I think this is the right one, but it's a little. Not great to fit in here without feeling like I'm breaking something. I'm folding it over itself. Ugh. If I have X in-stop problems and I'm looking for a broken wire, I think I know where to check. Like, is that looking right to you guys? I have to stuff both of these into this little crevasse without breaking wires. I'm jealous that you have the Makera. It looks like a pretty solid machine. I've seen a couple videos in passing about it. Interestingly enough, the Cyborg Boom comes with tap. Interesting. That's what Modbot is working on, right? The Cyborg Boom kit. He's not anywhere near the Toolhead though. Sadly, it also came with Marlin. Ugh. What board is that using? Would it be an easy mod to switch it over? I am not doing this right at all. Okay, yeah, there's your problem, Brian. I think. No, that's right. It comes out of that. And then we'll get attached to here. Did I skip steps? No. It's just telling us to attach that now. We don't need magnets for end stops. We're using the physical end stop. I guess I need to mount this. Yes. Zombie built one. I haven't checked out his streams on it, but I did see he was working on one. Or I saw his YouTube video pop up. All BTT boards are pre-flashed with Marlin. I did not know that. MKS Robin Nano. Oh yeah. He was talking about that. Apparently MKS still makes quite a few boards for a few different printer manufacturers. Kind of white label OEM, ODM type setup, I guess. So wait, do I put this? I totally put this one upside down. Okay. Or excuse me, front to back. I had a MKS. It came in my TiVo Tornado. It had a lot of problems. It was a Gen 1 board, and it had a lot of problems with the thermistor, with Clipper. Marlin didn't have any problems, but when I did a kind of conversion of that over to Clipper, the thermistors would just go crazy, and I ended up having to put a capacitor, I guess a decoupling capacitor, across ground and like 5 volts, and that ended up cleaning up the signal. But that was my only experience with an MKS board. It's like Gen L or something. Clipper for boom, not straightforward. Gotcha. This needs to have the channel facing up, and I didn't pay attention to that whatsoever. It also looks like I've got some support interface sitting up proud. Now the black mark up top. M8. Oh, that's what it was. I had it backwards, so screw links weren't adding up. And I'm using the wrong driver again. Yeah, Jimmy John. Correct, but is this supposed to sit proud like this? That's a M3 by 8. Let me go back to the step. Oh, I used it. Oh, I'm just all over the place with wrongness here. This needs to be a 6. And I think I used an 8. This just uses so many different pieces of hardware that aren't common in the kit. 3x6 socket head. There's 2 of those. Yep. Jimmy John, you are correct. Yimmy on. Whoopsie. At least I found it. Then a 12 will actually work here. And a 16 with a heat set will work in the bottom spot. Okay. I don't know why I did that. I've got 2 different sets of threads. Hitting that down first. I'm doing inventory right now, ready for the Prusa wire build series. Cool. I would like to build one of those. I did see a MK3S for sale for like $250. I think we're all kosher now. They have us slide this down over top. Didn't hear any lost balls. And then I think we can throw this on top and tighten it down. Well, that was almost bad. This magnet almost stuck to the carriage, and when I pulled it up, it almost pulled the carriage off. And then there's also an M3 nut sitting on there. M3x6 button head with washers. By 8/6 flat. Oh, no, socket. And 3x6 button head with washers. There's a lot of 3S in your area. There's a MK4s are still going for 800 by me. And 3S's are going for 200 to 350. Some people asking for like 400, but a couple 3.5s. And 3x6 plus M3 washer. No, I can't do that, can I? Stupid money for MK4s in the DC area. I'm in Blacksburg, Virginia, and it's kind of the same, but not nearly as many of them. I would kind of like to get like maybe a used MK4 and then do a core upgrade, but definitely not cost effective it's at all. But I would just do it for the fun build experience. I need to take this off, and then we need to put this onto the X carriage and do the belts now. So I guess I could have done the belts before doing tap. All right, belting. Line up the teeth. And I loosen this up enough. Yes. There's like a little witness hole. Bamboo's owners going from H2D to H2C aren't going to find any buyers. How much impact do you guys think the fallout is going to have on the average person who maybe it's their first 3D printer, they don't really know, they're not an enthusiast, they're not ever going to watch a Voron build. Do you think they will care about any of this stuff that kind of has the rest of the community up in arms? Um, I just need something to kind of get this guy wrapped around. It's around the idler, but I can't get it to come out the other side. I would still recommend Bamboo for a first timer, but working on an open source company, I'll never buy another Bamboo yourself. Understandable. I can see Bamboo Lab marketing compliance with California, Colorado, New York PPU laws having theirs. That's an interesting thing because there's also kind of a whole thing about not trusting Chinese companies. I can't get this started. There we go. Okay. But you know what I mean? There's a lot of talk about not wanting any of your info. Well, that belt pathing is pretty straightforward. Once I get back here. Yeah, you don't want your info going to a Chinese server, but if they're going to be doing checks to see if you're printing something illicit, it's going to go back to Bamboo's or any company's servers, right? It's going to be running in the cloud. It's not going to be something local. Is this just like way, way, way too much belt? Not way, 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 way. I'd rather newbies get into the hobby and enjoy making. If they get discouraged, they may not come back. So as long as Bamboo Lab or another manufacturer have a solid printer, get them to buy it. Yeah. Yeah, I got into 3D printing in about 2015, where besides, I guess you could say Prusa and Ultimaker, I don't remember there being a lot of kind of premium companies. My first printer was a Monoprice Maker Select Plus. So we're gonna even on our belts. Only people talking about this are those that have already cared quite a bit about the right to repair and privacy. Very little new folks that are casual consumers care whatsoever. Yeah, I don't think they're hearing about it, right? If you're not plugged into the enthusiast 3D printing space, are you even hearing about this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Evening out the length of our belts. Double check which one is the longer and shorter. I agree, Snapbaker U1. Recommended it. People ask. Such a great printer. Are they, what's the enclosure status for the U1? Are they selling an enclosure? By default, it is not enclosed, correct? So it's primarily a PLA printer, which for most new people is probably sufficient. This one is long on both sides, so I need to cut one tooth off of him. Long on both ends. They're selling an enclosure that's supposed to release in September, October. Gotcha. Okay. Gates text up. Yeah, belting on this isn't too bad. You just make sure the teeth are facing up here by the either is the only kind of difficult part because you're doing it a little blind, but once you get past the either, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, get a set of tweezers, Brian. I'm missing a lot right now just because I'm trying to get this corner turned with this belt. R2 of Trident is supposed to make belt routing a lot easier. I believe that is true. Took you a few attempts. It's around that corner. I pull the idler back now. Last time I was just able to feed it in and it eventually started coming out the other side appropriately. This time not so much. I was told end of October by a contact in China for the U1 lids. Oh, so is it enclosed on the sides, just not the top? I am pretty out of the loop. A lot of the new hotness, especially with tool changers. How did I get this so easy the first time and then now it's... So I can get it around this first bearing stack and then it hits a wall right here and I can't get it to go the direction I want after that. So it's around the bearing. There's a trick if you can recall. Is it just like loosening something and then retightening it? We might just hop over to this side. See if we have any more success and if it enlightens us to a better method. Maybe it's easier coming from the opposite way I'm doing. Bedtime here in Maryland. Thea, Jurgen, are you anywhere near Bel Air, where 3D Printopia used to be? Yeah, I think coming from this angle, I can actually fish it to get the direction I want. About 1.5 hours away. Okay, gotcha. Well, have a good night. Yeah, maybe coming from the inside and wrapping around will be a little easier since I can see it through here. Yeah, I'm just doing things kind of the hard way. Okay, yeah, coming from the inside and going outside was substantially easier. The problem with the Flash Forge machine, at least right now, is that they're using Clipper but not opening it to uploading modifications. That's a very frustrating part of the ecosystem right now. I've definitely had a friends who I've like exalted Clipper and talked about how great it is. We are top belt right now. And then they get a printer with Clipper-ish on it, and they can't do any of the things I'm talking about. And that can be frustrating. That not against Clipper license. It's literally against it. They have so far refused to care. They will get pressured into it just like Reality did. Yeah, they're not going to get pressure from their government. It's going to have to be the user base, right? People making decisions with their pocketbook, with their wallets. Making a lot of fuss. Like all these 3D printing licenses, open source licenses, they're just so hard to enforce. You just see like the lawyers looking up precedents and be like, oh, there's no legal case where anybody's gotten sued and had to pay. Why would we be the ones? I know I had this exchange with so many companies, it seems normal at this point. That's one thing I look for. If I can't SSH into and modify how I see fit, I'm not buying the printer. And a lot of them will get kind of jailbroke at some point, either by the company or users, but do you want to have to deal with that as a user? Or are you not turning? Are you too tight? Yeah, I screwed that down too tight. There's precedent in the AG PL space. I'd be interested to see more about it, like what came of it. And I guess legal precedent isn't the only thing. It's big companies with lawyers who can just threaten litigation. Like slap lawsuits where they just sue you and hoping you'll give in because you can't afford the legal fees. to some regard in the US legal system, it doesn't matter who is right and wrong in certain situations morally. I'm like, oh, this belting system is so easy, and then it takes me an inordinate amount of time to belt. Where did I flip this belt? Well, somehow I got flips on the way through. Like I get the pathing. It visually I like it a lot. Just a couple spots where it's hard for me to get it routed as well and as easy as I would like. Here we go. All right, later's for real this time. See ya. Have a good night. John Oliver made that mining guy hurt in the slap. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good watch. I think we are belted. And I think I have a loose blind joint here. How does that happen? Almost belted. Actually belted. Okay, now we can bolt this guy here with what? M3x6. I had those M3x6 button head. No washers. Are you guys using Loctite anywhere besides grub screws these days? All right, y'all. I'm out here too. See everyone. Good luck with the rest of the build. Thanks. Definitely let me know. Well, I'll get notifications when you start doing the CNC stuff. But looking forward to seeing that. Wait, are there washers back there? Jeez, Brian. How much backtracking today? Grubs only. Yeah, it seems like it. People used to recommend trying to do it in a bunch of different spots, but it's kind of anywhere you're screwing into a metal piece. Like I saw a lot of people doing it for the carriages. I need to put M3 hex nuts here. Getting a little disorganized. Not going in easy. I'm gonna gently press him in so that it can be pulled in later. I have yet to tighten any frame screws in the 2.4 after 4 years. Yeah, frames, I've seen people use Loctite on carriages into rails. I've seen people do, but I know a lot of people had problems with trying to do that with the carriage on a V0 and having that carriage crack. I generally do it anywhere it's called out in the manual, and that's generally just grub screws. All right, tighten these down in the next. Now I'll put this rail back on gently. Nope, that wasn't back on at all. And sorry for that noise. Are we losing any balls? Certainly didn't hear any. Fill screw into aluminum frame, tapped hole, shouldn't need anything as the aluminum is soft enough to deform. Yeah. And this goes on top of that. And he gets the washers. Same thing with hammerheads, the frame will deform just slightly, and that's all the tension you'll need to prevent vibration and doing things. Wait, do I need to do something with the belts before I do this step? Yes. Dang it, Bobby. This is the part, tap is definitely what I'm the least familiar with. We need to loosen this off enough that we can pass. Oh, my order of operations is just all jacked up right now. These pass behind here. Okay, I shouldn't have tightened in this one at all, I don't think. We should have just done it like a typical carriage where you get everything started. Get like a single thread. In there. Stoppers off. Get these guys somewhat even, the top and bottom. The tensioners I have threaded. About as loose as they can go. Loctite made sense in steel screw joints. All the materials are equally hard. Okay. think I left these belts quite a bit looser than they need it to be. All right, this is where I always like to have a little bit of insight. So I've got the tensioners pushed pretty far back that way. Religious door knockers keep ringing doorbell and making dogs go crazy. Then they run away when the dogs get to the gate. I guess the dogs are doing their job a bit, I guess. Unless you want to hear their message. Belt tensioning is not something I feel super confident with. Gates is the correct way up on both belts. Now I'm just trying to get, that feels fairly loose. I think I want that like a tooth tighter on each side. Kind of crazy how much of a difference one tooth makes. A slight difference in tension. I could go back and forth on this all freaking day if I allowed myself. Or night, I guess would be more accurate. Still solid in the back and just the tiniest bit of scooch up in the front right. I think we can lock that in. There are two tiny little pieces I need. I don't know where I did with them. I don't think we're going to be getting to Stealth Burner today. I think this is one of them. Maybe we can do the beds. What does it show how to do this little retainer piece? Step or STL files? I've been using Step a whole lot more frequently lately. I do notice some performance hits in the slicer. But it is kind of nice to not have to export something multiple times. Isn't there this little piece that needs to... Well, it's probably in the stupid appendix. Sorry. Oh, and I need to do the two very long boys. M3 by 8. How about yourself, Down Under Maker? Are you finding yourself just dealing in M3 by 8 button head? Jeez, so many different screws. Oh, are you asking for the soldering station stuff that you mentioned? I will happily accept either. Whatever is most convenient for you to get them exported. I still need one more of these retaining pieces. It might have to be a reprint that tonight. Piece. Because I am not seeing it anywhere. Step in your DMs. Thank you. I'm probably going to kick off some prints tonight, so I might be able to throw it on the bed. Get some other stuff. Did you buy the micro soldering stuff that you picked up just to play with the octopus? I'm not seeing it any there. Like you've got a reason now, so you might as well try it. Yeah, I need to print out the other retaining piece for this. They'll always plan to do it, and then karma or coincidence, or just damn bad luck. Dumb bad luck. V2. I think this is the first piece I've either lost or forgotten to print. I'm gonna start heating up a printer. Wait. Found it. It was in a random Are we still good on the links on these? No, I need to pull this one tighter. So I've done a lot of electronics projects that I've gotten PCBs from PCBWay or JLC PCB in the past, and I've often not gotten all of them done with the SMT. So I have a bunch of boards sitting around which are just completely unpopulated. And I figured if I can get the parts ordered, it would be kind of a fun little thing to do to try to solder up some of them. Yeah, I do have a couple practice boards as well. They've got 805 and 603. And then SOIC and one other. That's all looking nice and even now. But several of the DIY steering wheels I've built, I've gotten 2 of them populated, but you have a minimum order quantity of 5 PCBs. So I have a lot of those. If I mess them up, not too worried. Okay, I'm happy with the tension on these. Seems pretty even, top and bottom, left and right. Don't seem to be badly racked. 4 USD with about 60 components and okay. I have 2 kits that are like every component you need. And then other ones are just boards. And then I have a booklet full of capacitors and I think that's where I can actually see it. Resistors? Preload is pretty tight on this. Now I think we can put this over the top. These will pass through here. Kind of funny, these all almost end up acting like springs a little bit. I don't know if funny is the right term, but I had a chat with a rep from Maxim Integrated who sent me heaps of various Max chips. All I need is a R5 Pico chip and I can build a CUD toolhead board. Interesting. I actually have. So this is the PCB. There are some 603, or is it 602, 805, and then maybe a couple smaller ones. There's some really, really tiny decoupling capacitors on the board, and then a few ICs. I do have a solder mask for this, so I'm going to play around with doing that. 1.5 by 1.5. Ooh. I have a digital microscope. It's not like the one of the high-end ones that everybody who does micro soldering recommends, but up back to the tap manual. 3x6 button heads. Where did those go? Here. I need 2 more and 2 washers. We will be done with tap. Technically, we need to do a final adjustment on the magnets, I think. Plan on getting a purple mechanic scope, like NanoFix showed. Yeah. The optical scope that you can hook a digital on the top of seems like a cool deal, especially if you're going to be streaming. And then they have that cool parallelogram arm that's like a gas spring. A lot of the other microscope arms I saw are either like spring, like they have a cheap like microphone stand spring setup, or they just don't articulate that way at all, and you could only, use the knobs to go up and down. But I think the last step will be loosening. I have an ohm meter with that connects. Okay, I want one of those. I basically want everything in NanoFix's setup. I need to start streaming some unboxings and see if I can offset the cost a little bit. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this until I have Stealth Burner on, but a little fidget toy. To the hand, it doesn't feel like it's going to be too much force. But I don't know. I already have a way better camera than he has for your telescope. Okay. I got like a $200 Yuhan. I can't remember the name brand, but it's got the Sony sensor in it that seems to be very popular. It's 4K. it bounces around a lot. There's no image stabilization, so if I bump my desk whatsoever, it's kind of hard to look at. Okay, we're gonna leave these belts and cut them later. We're not gonna prep the bed, but we will do this portion. They're going to do a hard cutoff in about a half an hour. See what we can do for the bed in that amount of time. Our 3 Fuegos. My camera has a 26 megapixel Peltier cooled sensor. Wow. Overkill, but it's not one of the ones that you it's not a DIY build, is it? I saw somebody who was doing a Peltier cooled camera build. You can just buy the sensor online. There's 3D printed files for the body. For long exposure astrophotography. That's cool. All right, we already have these 2 pieces semi built out. I need to do the long boys to reinforce this guy. It's like M3 by 50. It's 3 by 40. These are the longest screws in the kit, right? I've taken some pictures of the moon at night when there's strawberry moons and all that kind of stuff, but I haven't done very much other astrophotography. Seems like a very appropriate use for a driver, electric driver. There's my hand clutch technique. Some pics on your Discord. Deep Space Nebula Imaging. Okay. I need to join your Discord. I'm not a member yet. I am subscribed on YouTube though, so I should get notifications when you stream. I don't think there's been one since the last time I tuned in. All right. We can hop back to the bed. I saw that. Thanks. You're welcome. I was actually planning stuff for my stream while watching yours. So I preloaded all the nuts on this one, so we need 3 up top. Is that it? There's 3 up top on this one. 3's on the inside, 5's on the outside. And then 1 M3 and 2. I think that's all correct. And I assume there's going to be a measurement on this. Why can I not? Is this a bad screw? I think this is the first bad screw we're going to be coming across where... Or I'm just using the wrong size driver. Isn't this M5? Wouldn't that be a 4.0? 2.5. Problem is that driver walked away. Here it is. Nope. That away. Okay, so what's the measurement? I gotta want to make sure we have it centered, right? 175. exactly 175. My square. The tool holder accepts LD and generic drivers in the same slots as the JVC tools. Cool. I'm looking forward to that. I know on NanoFix's Discord, they're always trying to get him to get a 3D printer, but he seems very hesitant to, because they're like, oh, that tool you got off AliExpress that you kind of didn't like, you could just modify it or make it with a 3D printer. Which is obviously true, but he seems hesitant. Our preloaded nut should be in there. We need our bed mounts, our bed pieces, and M3x6 button head. We still have quite a few of. We need 9. Alrighty, so insert this trap meme here. And rightly so, insert, it's a trap meme here. Oh, okay, yeah. I think these are weird. But I kind of feel the same way about micro soldering tools. Three by 6 seems too long, but we'll go with it. Nope, it's the perfect length. About 15 more minutes. We'll see if we can get most of the bed frame mounted. You know what? We've got the Hodo out anyway. Screw down. Are you big into Gridfinity at all? Down under Maker? I don't use it everywhere. Like I don't have every single drawer full of it. There's some times where I see people who are like filling half the drawer with plastic in order to kind of keep their parts or tools. And that seems a little counterintuitive to me. I missed what you asked. If you mean Gridfinity, I consider it a waste of plastic. Yeah. I've got some JST connectors and housings and all that kind of stuff that I have in a drawer with some Gridfinity, but it's only just like the plastic thing on the bottom in the bins. So it's not that much different than a, what do you call them? The stuff Steve uses that slide out. But there's definitely cases where I see people like fill 80% of a drawer up with plastic to hold like 4 tools. You know, that's probably hyperbolic, but it seems like that, and it seems like a waste of plastic. But yeah, I was just asking if you what you thought of Gridfinity. That in a little cattywampus. Like I saw a guy who printed out. I can get the part stores for things like fasteners and JSTs. It's cheap, so close to China. Yeah, yeah. Being in the Oceania area probably is very nice. But I saw a guy who was doing a workshop makeover, and he did a bunch of Gridfinity, and he printed out custom-sized trash cans like this that were not vase mauve. They were like thick that had Gridfinity bottoms on them, and I was like, that's like 8 kilograms of plastic. And I feel like you could just go to a container store or Dollar General and find something and just, I don't know. Sometimes it's like a solution looking for a problem. Gratuitous use of plastic, yeah. And then eventually you get tired of it and it's not going to be reusable. And all that plastic is just going to get thrown away. So, if this guy is facing... it's still facing this way. I don't understand the fascination with maker chips either. Yeah, I kind of get some of the... You're at an event and you want to exchange something, have something that you like identify with. I mean, it was the coins before, right? But I've got a bag full of them from several 3D Printopias that I haven't really done anything with. Guessing this needs to be flush. Like they look really cool in that display that Steve showed. I guess they have a little bit of a carryover or kinship with challenge coins for military and law enforcement and stuff. But on a way, you know, crazier scale. I think those plastic organizer things with a bunch of drawers is way better for option for most people, yeah. Already did this guy. So this will all be changed in R2. I think all the Z mounts will be different in order to make more room for tool changers. And I think Steve said it's kind of a customizable. So you can move the bed forward or backwards. How far do you know? Oh, it's way up. I'm not sponsored by any filament makers, so I couldn't afford to just throw away plastic. Yeah. It's a lot of print time too. I mean, electricity isn't prohibitively expensive in most places, but and now we need our frame back and upside down again. And consolidate some of these bins. I love these bins for organizing parts and stuff. I'll use filament boxes, kind of like a lot of people do, but it's kind of nice to be able to see nearly everything. So this is where we need those M5 nuts. No, it's not upside down. Well, I think I need it upside down because these nuts fall out if I don't. Did I do this backwards? I think, yeah, these two parts need to be rotated. You call upside down is the right way up? Yeah. No, not this one. What am I doing? I think I'm getting a little sleepy. 1 a.m. here. But yeah, are these supposed to be captive? Does anybody know? Because they definitely fall out for me. 1 p.m. here, almost lunchtime. To figure out what I'm gonna do for lunch tomorrow. Bit of an urge for pizza. This would be like this. So we'll go here. How did I mix that up? I just wasn't paying attention, I guess. Get a chatty Cathy. About 6 more minutes until my cutoff, which happens to coincide with my SSD that I'm using to record this. And it's been too long to remember about captives. No worries. But they had me put them in a step that was very, very long ago, and then they end up upside down. And as soon as I did that, they fell. So it could be just print settings. And we probably need to leave these loose. What is a screw? And 5 by 16. Yep. We have solar power, so power bills aren't much more than supply charge. Gotcha. Maybe I should have just done this right side up and held to cap the screws or the nuts. We'll have space to get this driver in. Look at that. Uno mas. How many printers do you have currently down under Maker? Got the 2.4 you're fixing. It's a bad board. Slightly loosen and retighten the screws that hold the bed frame to the printed parts. Nine working in two in bits. Gotcha. Are they mostly just fun project stuff? Or are you doing anything with somewhat of a farm to need them, or is it more fun hobby? Driver down. Project work and printing capacity to top up student projects. Okay. Maybe a little too loose. Okay, and since we're gonna have to be flipping the printer over pretty frequently, I am not gonna deal with mounting the bed right now. I don't want to add all that mass to the printer. Engineering is a day job. Yeah, I recall you mentioning you teach engineering. Makes sense. Is the engineering have anything to do with like robotics team type stuff? Or when I was in school, we had like technical education, tech ed, as an alternative or parallel to home ed, which was like, you know, how to do laundry and make certain types of food and stuff. But um, let's see, what did we do? We did a balsa wood bridge, did a egg drop parachute thing. We learned how to use a injection molding machine for making a screwdriver handle. We had a lathe that we made a metal top out of, and just generally learned how to use some like shop tools. It was kind of like shop with a little bit of, not really machining, but I would have liked a more full-fledged engineering class when I was in high school. Okay, and we are not going to mount the sex bolt. We could mount this guy. Really probably no rush in that. 5x10s. Yeah, soldering motors to switches and battery packs in year 7 through university entry projects with Python robots. That's cool. So I'm saddened that I didn't have that opportunity. I'm glad that current generations do. I mean, I did have like computer engineering or computer science classes I took. But I've definitely always had a passion for hardware and making stuff that's more physical, so that would have been cool to do some of that. Okay, I think we're gonna call it there. Let's hop back out to here. I had originally qualified for aero design engineering, but fell into telecoms engineering as a job. Interesting. Um, my previous job was working for support for telecoms, so customer service representatives, giving them software and tools to be able to answer the questions about all the handsets that a telecom like Verizon, AT&T might be able to handle. Like I think Verizon had like 1,500 handsets that a customer service rep needed to be able to pull up stuff about and explain. So the company I worked for handled a bunch of that stuff. Not really dealing in the telecom business, but kind of business to business, B2B support for support. I did take like digital signal processing and signals and systems in college, but I didn't get much further into that. I can't remember what the next communications based class was going to be, but I did find it interesting. I took overflow for high and data support sometimes and design rollouts for 3G and 4G. Cool. There's a interesting realm of streaming that is doing a lot of cell bonding, cell signal bonding, so you can, you know, have four SIM cards and bond the signals together so that you can do live streaming IRL and not have dropout. But it's not simply, you probably know better than me, it's not simply just having 4 different cell phone connections and blasting on all 3 of them. It's got like redundancy and stuff like that built in. But I saw a cool video about disc golf, where all their individual camera guys have a setup that's doing signal bonding, and that's how they're able to send it all out. Pretty cool. But yeah, didn't get quite as far as I thought we would. We've been going for how long today? 3-ish hours. 3:42. I thought we were going to be able to get through Tap very, very quickly and then get into the Stealth Burner build, but hello, hello, hello. The transmitter lost battery. It looks like about 3 hours and 45 minutes is about its limit. Or 340. But yeah, I was saying that's really cool. Bouncing stuff off the ionosphere in order to, because you don't have line of sight. So if you have 2 things on the Earth that can't, yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm happy with the progress so far. I think I was saying that Tap took a little bit longer than I expected. Belting took a little bit longer than I expected. I wanted to get into the Stealth Burner, but I'll be happy to start that kind of as its own part in the next stream. We're going to put the Voron Revo in there instead of that knockoff V6. We're going to have to do the EB, what is it, SSB 2209 or whatever it is, the CANBus board. So that'll, you know, be complex enough. Hopefully all these wirings are like the pre-cut and pre-crimped in the exact length that we need, so that won't be too complicated. I think I have everything printed for that stuff for the CANBus, and I think after that we'll do the electronics and then do the bed at kind of very last, just so I don't have the bed on there when I'm having to flip everything around. We are going to do inverted electronics. I've got the pieces for that already printed out. I think those will go something like that. Hey, welcome. We are wrapping up a little bit. We've got the X Gantry done. Tap is on here. I like just fidgeting with it. It's like a fidget toy. So all 3 axes are done. And I think we'll get to Stealth Burner next. But thank you for everybody who hopped in. It was a fun stream, good conversation. Love a little bit of banter to kind of keep things moving and flying. Had to backtrack a little bit, but not too bad. Mostly in the tap, just the order of operations of when you have to put the carriage on. I had the rail flipped backwards. That threw me off a little bit. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the Trident build. The manual is pretty good. We're having to bounce between the main Trident manual, the tap, the Stealth Burner, and I think we'll have to do it for the MP, the what is this called, SB2209 can board as well. It's got its own manual, so we'll be bouncing between those 3. If anybody has any questions about this, let me know. Again, this kit, I was able to purchase it because of folks who've used affiliate links and or donated with super chats and all that kind of stuff and membership. So this is sponsored by you guys, so thank you very much. I will post some updates. I'll try to see if I can schedule the next stream a little bit ahead of time so that there's a little bit of notice. But yeah, thank you Renovic, Down Under Maker, Alraka, and anybody else in chat. But I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you online. Peace.